You are watching Midnight Movie Talk live from Los Angeles an hour earlier than we usually go because there's so many people complain you're on too late. On the East Coast, it's midnight. So it's only 11 o'clock for you East Coasters right now. So no more complaining. And by the way, it's midnight somewhere. So therefore, it's still MMT. Let's get to our top story here tonight on this Sunday. It's box office. You know what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Spider-Verse 2. We called this film exactly as it performed. We've done it now 2 weeks in a row. And going back at the projector, every Thursday we throw a number out, the MMT projector, and we talk about what we think this film's going to make. When it has that 3-day debut, we're going to give you the number on Thursday night. And here we go back to the tape. Let's bring him in from Thursday. Here's the host of Midnight Movie Talk, Eric Weber. This film is going to outperform this weekend. Okay. And I'm telling you, I told you the other night, my number was big. Here it is right now, MMT projector. We nail these things. We're really good at this. Here it is. It's 117.5. For 117.5. It was 120.5. That means we were off by 2.5%. I need a like right now from you. I need a comment saying you are the box office king, Eric. We are bestowing the crown and scepter upon you because you nailed it again. Now, listen to my reasoning, and we're going to talk about why this film did what it did. I knew what was going to happen because I saw Thursday night the audience. Listen, for the 3, that would be what is that? A 70% increase on the 70% up, something like that. I mean, that's how much bigger this film would be. And you're going to ask why? 3 times larger than the original's debut of $35 million. Okay, here we go. Keep going. Listen here because this is very important. Do I have this number so high? Why did it happen? Because I see the audience, and it was affirmed for me tonight when I saw the crowd that was in the Dolby Cinema with me tonight. You have every ethnicity. You have every age. Boom. I called it on Thursday night. This film hit every demographic in the book and also played well with both sexes and whatever gender you want to call yourself. I'm not saying that goofy. I'm saying truthfully. And when you look at this film, it's a true 4-quad film. And listen, that's exactly what I said. You have the true 4-quad film going here. For those of you who don't know, a 4-quad film, young, old, male, female, and whatever else you identify as. It's everybody. It's the whole movie-going pie. And that is what we have here with Spider-Verse. Boom. You guys, that is why we are so good at what we do here on Midnight Movie Talk. And yes, we're going to toot our own horn. It's what we do. You have to when you nail the number 2 weekends in a row. We nailed Little Mermaid exactly at 95, and we're off by 3 million, which, by the way, is 2.5% off on the opening number here for Spider-Verse because we said exactly what was going to happen. This film was going to do well with virtually every demographic and age across all the spectrum, and that's exactly what we got this weekend. Here it is, 120.5 million for Sony. This film is 3 times larger than the first debut at 35. 120.5. It could actually rise again when we get Sunday's number, as you may or may not know. They estimate Sunday's number based on Friday and Saturday. We could see this go up just 1 million or 2, or maybe even a little bit more than that. We'll find out tomorrow. Overseas, 88 million, total of 208.6 million worldwide. Okay, so again, it's because of the fact that this was a very diverse audience. Okay, and it says right here from THR, we called this on Thursday. Surprise, surprise. We don't need THR and Variety. We are the authority when it comes to this stuff. 67% of ticket buyers in North America falling between the ages of 18 and 34. So it's where the majority was younger, but that doesn't mean, that means we still had 33% of the audience that was outside that. They had the kids, and we had some older people in there. More males than females, but at the end of the day, this is a film that did exactly what we thought it would, and that is why we are so good at doing this. We proved it again this weekend with Spider-Man. Now, I want to get your comments on the film. Some of you had a chance to see it. Maybe you didn't. on Thursday when we did the last show here. Now you've had more time to see the film. Give me your thoughts on the film. But again, we had this at 117, ends up being 120.5. I want to talk about the other big story here, and this was a real, what a surprise. What a polarizing, a lightning rod situation when we talk about The Little Mermaid. Okay, this is a film that is underperforming. Now, you see the graphic on the screen. Is it floundering? It's not exactly that. Okay, this is not Lightyear or Strange World, but this film is way under what a lot of people expected this film to do. Okay, right now, let's pull the numbers back in from THR. It's at 300 and what's the exact number here? Let me pull it up. 360 something. 326. So 326.7. Okay, that's globally. Okay, granted, it's doing better stateside than it is international. Same thing this weekend. We saw it happen last weekend. We really addressed that. That's a big, very important key takeaway here for The Little Mermaid is when the film's doing so poorly overseas, you need that overseas cash to be a 1-to-1. In some cases, it's a 1-to-2, right? You look at Fast X, it's the other way around, domestic low, international high. So this film is underperforming internationally, and I'm tired of having this debate, and I'm not going to have it anymore. Okay, listen, Twitter is full of disingenuous people that do not play fair, that spin shit. And the one thing we will never do here at MMT is spin things. We can hammer a film like Scream 6, Beau is Afraid, Cocaine Bear, and then turn around and say that they, except for Beau is Afraid, performed well in the marketplace. That's called being unbiased. That's called being objective. There are so many people on film Twitter in particular that have agendas and are absolutely disingenuous. And I don't know how you roll out of bed in the morning being that kind of person. It makes me sick to my stomach to know these people are out there spinning agendas, because let me tell you something. There's no agenda here with me. I've liked The Little Mermaid. You guys know that. Go back and watch the reaction stream. I'm one of the few people defending this film. But the true test of objectivity is to, after saying you like a film, say at the same time it's underperforming. And that's exactly what's happening. And let me tell you why. One of the reasons, it's not the only reason, but it is one of the reasons this film is underperforming. And I know it's very uncomfortable for a lot of you to talk about. A lot of you are like, I don't want to do this. It makes me, it's not fair. I don't like, listen, the world isn't fair. Okay. That's one. And two, you have to be objective and go with the reality and the facts. And here's the reality. This is the tweet that a lot of people just went off and, oh, you can't say that, Eric. You can't say things like that. Here's the reality. There is a sizable portion of the movie-going population that feels the way that, if you read here in the tweet, Disney has gone woke-ish. Okay? So they feel that way. And it's directly affecting box office for Disney films. Look at Lightyear, look at Strange World, now look at Little Mermaid. Now, you can disagree with the stance. We're not talking about whether it's okay to believe that, whether you agree with that. We are doing box office analysis. We are trying to explain why this film is underperforming. And if you're going to tell me that this film, The Little Mermaid, has nothing to do with the fact that there is a substantial portion of the population that is not happy with Disney's politics. I don't care if you agree with them or not. I don't care. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that there are people that are clearly not supporting Disney because of that. That is part of the story. I'm not going to have this discussion anymore with people that are like, that's not part of the story. What are you talking about? Just because you live in a bubble and you don't see that other people agree with that, you guys, I defended the film. So don't you dare come into the comment section here tonight and say, look at you. You hate woke. If I hated woke, I wouldn't have recommended Lightyear. I wouldn't have recommended Little Mermaid. Small World or Little World. What was it called? Strange World was so bad. I wouldn't recommend that no matter what. But that's not I don't have an issue with that. So don't even come here with that. You need to be mature and admit that that is a part of the problem. That is all I'm asking for. I'm asking for you to be more objective. Why is that so hard for people? Why is it so difficult for some people to adjust their way of thinking based on new facts? Why is it so hard to admit that there are people that don't agree with you and they're not the devil for disagreeing with you? Not everybody who doesn't think like you is a Nazi, okay? Stop it. Stop being hyperbolic. Stop being part of the problem. Just because you don't agree. Now, there are certain things, obviously, we're not defending everything. We're saying that you need to be objective. That is all I'm asking for. Tell me in the comments, why do some people have such a hard problem with that? Listen, I could be think about how many films that I have raved about over the years. Just go back to one of my favorite films of the number one film of 2022, Tar, right over my shoulder. That film did not perform well at the box office. Now, if I was some kind of stan of the film, which I am, an objective stan, I would say, if I was not objective, I would say that film performed. What are you talking about? What numbers are you looking at? Tar was a huge box office success. That's what these people with Little Mermaid are doing. It's driving me insane. It's not that bad. It's doing well stateside. What's the other half of the question? What's the other half of the equation? International cash. Let me go back and let me tell you how I know this is a problem. Watch. I'm going to bring the article back in about Spider-Man. I'm going to go from THR to Variety, and I'm going to read for you word for word what each said about The Little Mermaid. You ready? Here's THR. Disney's The Little Mermaid docked at second place in its sophomore weekend with an estimated $40.6 million from 4,320 theaters. The live-action movie fell 58%. Overseas, it earned another 40.6 for 326.7. There's not a word in this article about that number not being as high as many, I would say the vast majority expected. Not a word, okay? Now we're going to roll to, let me pull it up. We're going to go to Variety, and I'm going to read theirs verbatim to you, and you tell me if you notice anything that is very similar, i.e. they're not talking about that. Here it is. Okay. Roll down. Let me find it in the article because it's really short. It's like they almost, it's barely in the piece. Here it is. Little Mermaid remake slid to number 2 with 40.6 million, 57. It's actually 58% decline in debut. So far, it's grossed 186 in North America. Overseas, it's collected 42 million in its sophomore outing, brings its national tally to 140, total of 326. There's not a word in either of these articles about that number, 326 million, being disappointing. Not a word. Do you know why there's not a word in those articles about that? Because the trades don't want to shine a light on that because they need Disney's dollars for advertising. We do not need Disney's dollars for advertising. That is why when you come to MMT, we're going to tell you the truth. That is what we ultimately are seeking, the truth in the very objective manner. People always ask me, how are you able to stay so objective? Because the truth is, look at the reviews. You can never figure out what I'm going to say. Why is that? Because I'm objective. Do you know why? I've said it before. You're hearing it again. I am a Libra. What are Libras? Libras are scale balancers. They want everything to be even. Therefore, I come into the film level, objective. We are not giving bonus points for female directors, for directors we love, for anything whatsoever. An actor that we know in the film, we're not giving any positive points up for any of those things. We are going to review the film as it is shown on the screen with zero allowances for any kind of bias. But why are so many people have such issues with that? What is wrong? There's something fundamentally wrong with these people, and I pity anybody who has a pre-programmed agenda. Now, you're going to come at me and you're going to tell me, well, you hated Beau is Afraid and you wanted to see it fail. Well, it's terrible. And I wasn't exactly unthrilled to see it bomb and lose A24 over 20 million. We told you we would never give Ari Aster that much money. Never would we give him 35 million for that script. The answer is 0% chance. But if the film had gone on to bank 70 million worldwide and it got the money back plus some, because the P&A spend on this was not nearly what it was for like Little Mermaid, right? The advertising dollars on Little Mermaid is significantly more than Beau is Afraid. We would have said this film was a success. We hated it, but that's the difference. You need to be able to adjust your view of things based on new information. And if you can't do that, you need to grow that skill. It's got to be grown. You have to do that. Otherwise, you are a disingenuous person, and I don't have any time for you whatsoever. Simone, yeah, right. Libras, I mean, you probably knew that. That's why we get along. It's weird. There's a lot. I'm not a big astrology guy. Okay, I'm not going to say I never read my astrology. Never read that thing. But when you read about what your sign means, I'm like, that explains me to a T. That is me 1000%. I am fair and balanced about everything. Don't say Fox News to me. Don't you come in here and say that to me. Happy that the film is bringing in a wide range of demographics to the theater. Talking about Spider-Verse here. I love the film. One of my favorites of the year. It's certainly one of the greatest animated films of all time. My problem with the film, go back and look at the reaction stream from Thursday and prior on Tuesday. My problem with the film is the runtime. You've got to take 15 minutes at least out of that film. I want it closer to 2. I don't want 220. And there is multiple instances of that film running too long throughout. I would argue that the entire film needs to be compacted. It's not that you're removing scenes, it's that you're bringing those scenes and editing them down to make them tighter. And no scene shows itself more problematic than that rooftop scene. That's where the film really comes to a screeching halt, when they're on top of the roof forever. That scene needs to be edited in half. These are the things that one day a studio is going to pay me cash to show up and to tell them that, because here's the problem with Hollywood. I talked about it earlier in some tweets. I'll address it here tonight. Hollywood is filled with people that are yes men. They want to be liked. They want to be part of the group. And therefore, when they come out of a screening at a studio, a premiere, they're going to say, oh, this film is fantastic. They are fake AF. And I am not. There's one thing that no one has ever, and I mean ever in my life, accused me of, is being fake. If anything, they say you're a little too real. You're a little too honest. You're a little too brutal. I would rather be that person. And hopefully you appreciate that about me. You are not going to get soups on this channel. That guy screams fake. I mean, the second he starts talking, you say that is not a real human being. And for me, I don't have time for those kind of people. I would rather disagree 1000% with someone and know that they are an authentic human being than to hang out with somebody who is a sycophant. And that's what we have a lot in Hollywood. And I'm telling you, I would have no problem talking to Lord and Miller, who I think are creative and comedic geniuses, and telling them this film is too long. You must, and I mean must, bring this film down. And you're all going to say, well, it made 120.5 million. It's great. Here's what the point is. The point of notes for a film that is nearly perfect is there is always a better version of a film. There are very few films that I watch that I have 0 notes for. One would be The Social Network, because it's a masterpiece. Okay. 0 notes. Every other film, including Tar, yes, I would condense Tar slightly. I wouldn't make it 2 hours, but I'd bring it from, I think it's 240. I'd bring it to closer to about 215. There's ways. Okay, you got to go back in and really get under the hood and look at each individual scene and say, is this absolutely necessary for the story? If not, we can either remove it or compact it, and that is very important to make your film the best possible version as possible. And the other issue is, we talked about on Thursday night, it's an issue that we've talked about since the inception of this channel back in March of last year. The extended runtimes afforded to directors. Directors need to have a leash put on them. I don't care who it is, okay? I don't care if it's Scorsese. I don't care if it's Nolan. I don't care if it's Fincher. I don't care if it's Rose Glass's next film. And you guys know how much I love St. Maud. Here's the reason I know Rose Glass is going to be great. St. Maud's like 85 minutes long. She already's doing it right. These other guys, Scorsese, now I would say this. Wolf of Wall Street at 3 hours is a perfect film. It's very close. I don't think I have a single note for that film. There's another one. It's not always about 3 hours. 3 hours is too long. That is going to be a problem. And it has to really earn it, right? To get to 3 hours, you have to not just earn, you have to earn plus to get that 3 hour runtime. And remember back to all the films from the 2010s and before, they had a 140, 145 runtime or less. I talked to a Sony exec back during COVID, and off the record was telling me that in his estimation, now this person didn't make all the calls at Sony, but he told me that if he had his way, the movie would be no longer than 140. That is the max runtime you get. And I'm hoping that that person ascends to a higher position at Sony, because they would have been able to, in this instance, bring this film down. It needs to be compacted, okay? Runtime has nothing to do with Little Mermaid and underperforming, considering the Spider-Verse is 5 minutes longer. No one's saying, I'm not saying Little Mermaid and runtime, but I will say this: Little Mermaid would absolutely benefit immeasurably by a shorter runtime. The rap song needs to go. That would be gone. I would also just bring some of that down. There's ways to get that to 150, 145, and that brings at least 25, 30 minutes off. These studios need to get better control of their films. And if you need to, bring me in. I will absolutely tell Nolan. I will tell Fincher. I will tell, my good friend, my good buddy, who made one of the longest, most overlong films in the history of film, Avatar 2, James Cameron. I would tell him to his face, you need to cut this thing down to 215, 220. That's the max you get. And I'm being kind here at 220. That film is punishingly overlong. It's literally like getting beaten up by Avatar. I have no interest in Avatar 3. I mean, I'm talking a 0% interest in watching that film, because Avatar 2 wore me out. It bored me to tears. I do not want to see it again. Kid Evans, welcome back to the channel. Same reason Lightyear and Strange World underperformed. I just want to say, and this is, you cannot argue this. I'm tired of having this debate. And if you want to come in here and try to convince me otherwise, I'll look at it, but I'm telling you, you're going to be wrong. Don't tell me there isn't a portion of the population out there that is not happy with Disney politics, and that is why these numbers are lower. Don't tell me that, because just because it doesn't exist in your bubble does not mean it's not there. Do not live in an echo chamber. That's my other advice for you. Do not hang out with people that only parrot the same talking points to you that you hear from. Get out of it and try to be less tribal. Don't be so Democrat or Republican. Try to find the middle. Be a centrist like me. That's why the Libra, because I can't go too far to one side or the other. It never works. If I do, I find myself going, you're going too far. You need to come back. I mean, this channel's gone too far at times, and I go, we got to bring this back. That comes back to Libra, bringing it back to a grounded foundation and an even, objective, level playing field. And a lot of people just can't get there, and you need to be able to figure that out. I don't know if it's hereditary. I don't know what it is, but you got to work on it. Woke should be rephrased as too diverse. I saw you say this earlier, Simone. I understand what you're saying. I get it. I know, and this is we're good friends, so I have to watch what I'm going to say here. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm going to say this. Here, when someone asks me what's your definition of woke, if I were to explain it, again, you're talking to someone who defended The Little Mermaid, Lightyear, on and on and on, okay? Not just on and on. So let's get that, make sure that's absolutely stated and it's right out in front and center. When someone asks what is woke, I always answer with this. Woke is when there is something forced that feels inauthentic in the film, and it's forced for whatever reason. It doesn't even have to do with race. It has to do with, for me, it's anything that makes you all of a sudden say, hold on, I'm now taken out of the film because I feel like we are pandering, okay? So that's my issue with anything that's, quote, woke. That's my definition, is anything that takes you out because it feels like it's forced or inauthentic. Now, I just told you that I am a big defender of The Little Mermaid. Aside from the rap from Aquafina on the palace bed my God, that's an abomination. That scene has to go. But the rest of the film, I largely enjoyed. I think it's shot well by Marshall. It's got a giant feel to it, and the songs are very good, especially her in your world. What's the world? The world song. That song. She's great. The voice, and I think she's more than capable as an actress to handle the role. It's not like she's a liability. We talked about people that are liabilities to movies, okay, and she's not. So that's my definition of woke. Okay, everyone has their go for it, whatever you want to call it. And Simone, I greatly respect you. Okay, so you know that. Agree totally, but I also think a lot of people are just tired of beat for beat remakes of classic films. Batgirl of the Marvels, love it. By the way, welcome to the channel. Yes, it's not just, remember when we're talking about the Little Mermaid floundering. Please, by the way, please forgive me for that. I had to do it. THR would do that if they had the balls. Variety would do it. Deadline would if they had the cojones. They don't. They want to pander to Disney. We don't care. We just come on here and tell you what the truth is. But that's not the only part of the conversation. The fact that there's a portion of the population that doesn't like the woke politics of Disney. The other part is the fact that people are tired of remakes. But when you come with that, then I have to instantly do this, okay? Because that's as soon as you come with that, I've got to throw out the counterpoint. And I'm waiting for a counterpoint for what I said about, portion of the population that says that the woke politics. I'm waiting. Here's Aladdin, right? Okay, so here's Aladdin. For those of you that are like, well, they're tired of remakes. Aladdin was 2019, okay? Aladdin ended up with worldwide 1,050 million. 1,050 million. How about that? So we're only a few years removed. And then what happened today, which I can't stand too, this is what we call about a disingenuous argument. As soon as I start bringing this in, what does someone say? It's not 2019 anymore, Eric. It is not 2019. We had this whole COVID thing and it changed the universe. Okay, if that's the case, help me out here, everybody. For those idiots, and yes, they are idiots, who say it's not 2019 still at this point, now in 2023, right? How does Spider-Verse 2 open at 3 times plus what the first Spider-Verse opened at? If it's not 2019 anymore. You can't. That's where they lose. That's why I tell you, be objective. Don't be disingenuous. If you say that to me, that it's not 2019 anymore, and that's your defense, then I know instantly that you are not an honorable person when it comes to debating, and you are just trying to throw shit out there and say this is just the fact. It's not a fact. The fact is a film just made 3 times plus what the original made in 2018. So you're telling me the theatrical's not back in full? Get the F out of here. I don't even, you are absolutely untrustworthy with me, and I can't ever have a conversation whatsoever. And that's Twitter. My God, why? Again, why does Twitter do this? Why is Twitter so tribal? Why is Twitter so hiding behind avatars? Why can't these people put a name and a face? Now, if you're hiding behind an avatar because you could lose your job because you say something like you're a Disney executive, that's different. But just be you. Don't be afraid. Don't hide behind a Ryan Gosling in Drive avatar. That's what I would do if I'd hide behind an avatar. Like, look, it's Ryan Gosling in Drive with the satin jacket and all that, right? Scorpion jacket. That's what I'd choose. Let's continue. Comments coming up. By the way, if you're new, your comment's going to get pushed up. If you give me a super chat, you're in right off the bat. But I'm going to try to get as many people in here as possible. Low IQ Media, thank you for super chat here. I also felt the slow scenes were too long and somewhat redundant. Yes, you saw the same Spider-Verse 2 that I did. And that's not to say the film is not great. It could have been better. And that is the issue that we're trying to do here. When we go in as a consultant to watch the film, and we are going to be unvarnished, 1,000,000% fearless when we come to our evaluation of what we just watched, and we deliver it to the studio, you're going to tell them there is too much of certain scenes. I've got to go back in. We got to sit down and we got to look at this. Here's why the studios are not going to do that. Because they are going to say, I'm a studio exec. What does that guy on YouTube know? What does that guy Eric Weber? He doesn't know anything. He didn't like Beau's Afraid. Oh, wait a second. He might actually know something. That's the thing. The ego of the studio execs. Get it out of the way. Just know that there is someone who can do your job better sitting in this host seat right now, tomorrow. You bring me to Netflix. I already told you what I do at Netflix. Don't make me do it again, guys. I can't. I just wanted to have a peaceful show tonight. Just chill. Yeah, like that's ever going to happen. If I go to Netflix, I am instantly shit canning a ton of executives. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, and you two get your shit, get out of here. Because you have shown me that you have no idea what constitutes quality film. Therefore, you're all gone. All of you are out. I feel like it's really a version of Moneyball. The way I approach this is very much like Brad Pitt in Moneyball, right? In obviously his right hand man. When you look at that film, that's how I look at film. It's like you've got to be absolutely truthful, right? When Pitt's talking about cutting a player, and he says you just have to be 100% honest with these guys, cut through the bullshit, and just deliver what the truth is. And that's what we do here. But that's what you have to do. But I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much here tonight. Let's continue along, and let's go to our next topic, and we'll get to more comments. What I'm going to do is try to fire through as many of the topics I have, because tonight's a very big show. It's a Sunday night show. We might go longer than an hour tonight because we started early. I think that's one of the benefits of starting early. We can go a little bit longer on Sunday. We got so much to talk about, and I really appreciate, by the way, first time if you're here, thank you for being here. Please like, subscribe, all that thing. You know, that would help the channel grow and build the audience to deliver this message that we're trying to get out there. See quality films and always be critical. Do not be tribal. These are all things that, do you think Stuckman talks about that stuff? You think Grace Randolph talks? Grace Randolph has how many times the audience we have? It doesn't matter. I don't even care. But my point is they're not even getting smarter. They're getting dumber. You guys are actively here getting better, improving on whatever you bring to the table, because we're teaching you to be a critical thinker and stop being so damn tribal. I mean, that's a great message. What's better than that? You're going to be a better person because of that. Let's talk about this. This is very important. This is a move that needs to happen. This is going to be a new segment here on the show, the MMT move. What I would do if I were a studio, in this case, theater owners, AMC, Regal, Cinemark. If I were the theatrical owners, the exhibitionists, as it were, I am going to demand a 60-day window from studios now going forward. If your film debuts in theaters, which would mean every theatrical film, because nowadays that's how it goes, right? We're not doing streaming day and date, none of that shit anymore, except for Five Nights at Freddy's. Don't know what the hell Universal's thinking. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to give us a 60-day window again. We didn't budge on the 90-day before. I know you're not going to give us 90 anymore. I understand that. The marketplace has changed, blah, blah, blah. Fine. But I am going to demand that you cede us a 60-day theatrical window. Why is that going to matter? Because you are going to drive more butts to the seats at the theaters that you own. It's obvious, right? If you know you have to wait 2 months to get any film at home, I would argue 90 is better. I'm not going to say, but I'm telling you, the studios aren't going to go for that now. So 60 days. I said 45. I've now pushed it to 60. I'm not going to move off that. 60 days. 2 months. If you know you have to wait 2 months to watch the movie, okay, let's say this. You're going to be more likely to see it in theaters. And then someone said, well, what about indie films? They're smaller. They don't. I say that's even more important for the indie films, because those are the films that have suffered the most. The films that look like you can just watch them on streaming, right? You go, oh, I can just watch that on streaming in a week or two or a month. But if you know that a small film, like let's use A24's, which is not a great film, You Hurt My Feelings. Let's say that you knew that's a 60-day window. No one's suggesting that You Hurt My Feelings is going to end up with like 50 million. But I guarantee you this, it would do better at the box office, because viewers who are interested in watching that film that's hellaciously overrated, because it's A24 film, they would be more apt to go to the theater to see it, because they don't have to wait 60 days. So the smaller films are going to do better with that 60-day window. The larger films are obviously going to perform even stronger. Those are driving the market right now. Look at Spider-Verse, Little Mermaid, Fast X going back. Boogeyman didn't debut that big this weekend. It's like 11 and a half. The big films are calling the shots, and it's the premium screens that are leading the way. The IMAXs, the Dolbys, the 4DXs, the Primes, all of these, whatever Cinemarks is. You have to, those screens are driving like 50+% of the business. So as such, you want to make sure that everybody knows that that latest blockbuster is only going to be on those premium screens nowadays, like a week, right? And then they're gone. They lose them to the next big film. Like Transformers is up next. By the way, we're going to talk about this in a minute. Transformers is in big trouble. And I mean, I don't just mean a little bit. I mean, this film is as precarious gets. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But the 60-day window is going to drive more people into the theater because they have to wait. Now, you look at a Top Gun Maverick. That film had a 120-day window. That is a 4-month window on it. It extended even longer than that because it did so well. What do you think one of the reasons that Maverick ended up with $1.4 billion worldwide was? The fact that it was theatrical only for a large amount of time, a very long amount of time, 4 months plus, okay? Look at Elvis, another film. Would that a film had do anywhere near the numbers it did had it been day and date on HBO Max? We know the answer. The answer is no. It's absurd. What a dumb question, Eric. Exactly. So when you say it's going to be 60 days, you are training. You need to retrain this audience. You got to retrain them that you're going to have to wait 60 days to watch these films at home. And because of the dialogue that is generated, all of that initial buzz about a film that's online, especially on Twitter, people don't want to be left out of the conversation, so they'll go to the movies even more than they are. And then someone said, well, why do you care so much? Why? Because what's the whole purpose of this channel? This channel is theatrical lovers. That is what we are. We are all about cinema in a theater. They are cathedrals, okay? We worship in these places. Hopefully God doesn't strike me down for that, but we do. We worship our films in our cathedrals of cinema. And that's why this channel exists. We don't talk about streaming things. The last time we talked about a streaming film was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. The last two, I should say. One, The Mother, Netflix's turd. And two, Ghosted, the AI written trash. Both terrible films. We don't talk about that stuff, okay? Because we are all about theatrical. Why do you think the channel's so niche? That's all we do. We don't talk about streaming stuff. I have no time for streaming. I don't want to talk about shows. I don't want to talk about Succession. I don't want to talk about the latest Star Wars series. I have no interest. We talk about films and films only, and that means theatrical only. Only. Nick, good evening to you. Do you see Oppenheimer faring at the box office? How do you see it? 3-hour R-rated epic shot on IMAX, 3 weeks PLF, premium large format, exclusivity, closer to Dunkirk or Inception. Let's pull it up right now. Nick, thank you. I asked you to come with this question. You did. Thank you so much for doing that. I asked you on Twitter and you did it. So thank you. And thank you for the super chat, obviously. Let's go and pull up Christopher Nolan box office, and we go here and I pop it up and we can look at it together. Okay, so here's Nolan at the box office. It's obviously chronological. Oppenheimer's still to come. Tenet, 58.5 domestic, 301.7 international for a total of 360 worldwide. Not bad considering that was 2020, right? September 3rd, 2020. A reminder to show you how much that I love theatrical. Who's the guy who drove with Chris Gore to Las Vegas to see a movie? Because it was too dangerous in LA. It's too dangerous to go see a movie. You could kill everybody you know if you go see a movie. If you touch the chairs, if you touch anything in there, you're going to kill everybody you love. Remember those days? Yep, those days. So we drove to Vegas, and it was the weirdest experience. There's like 10 of us in the theater. We had to spread out. I can't remember if there were masks, because remember, masks were kind of like optional at that time. They were sort of optional. But we drove to Vegas. Tenet, 360 million. Dunkirk, 512 worldwide. Tenet would do better, obviously, without the COVID situation. We know that. Interstellar, 650, we'll call it. Let's see. I got to get to an extra. Inception, 728. And Dark Knight, $1 billion, obviously. Batman Begins. Batman Begins was only 356 worldwide. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. Dark Knight was $1 billion, and Dark Knight Rises was $1.8 billion. Okay, so here's we just went through the thing. We just went through the whole thing, Nick. So let's talk about the positives and negatives for this film. Okay, the positives for this film very clearly are the name Christopher Nolan. Okay, that brings a significant portion of the movie-going cinephilic population to the seats. They're in no matter what. Doesn't matter what Nolan makes, that audience is coming to the theater. This is an event film for that crowd. That is a positive as well. The negatives here, obviously the 3-hour runtime. That is going to turn some people off. Do I think it's going to be as big a deal for a Nolan film? No, because we've seen Interstellar almost at 3 hours. We've seen him push those boundaries before. So that's not something I really worry about with Nolan fans. I think the challenge for Interstellar is going to be to get the average Joe six-pack that lives in Dayton, Ohio, to give a shit about the movie. That is going to be the big challenge for Universal. You know you have the cinephiles in New York, LA, Chicago, San Francisco, Philly, DC, all the big cities, right? But you do not have the flyover states. My hometown of Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Dallas, Topeka, Kansas, wherever you go in the heartland, right? Lincoln, Nebraska. Are they going to come see Oppenheimer like they would, let's say, a Barbie? Because remember, Barbie opens day and date, right? The same day, the same date as Oppenheimer. So that's going to be a challenge as well. But can Universal get the on-the-fence moviegoer to buy into Oppenheimer? I think it's going to be a challenge that proves to be too much for this film. And I'll tell you, it's very obvious why. This is a film that is about something that is historic. We already know what happens in the film. Anytime that you have, and think about this, Nolan films, you typically have no idea, right? I mean, who knew what Tenet? Who still knows what happens in Tenet? I don't know. You go back, Interstellar, same thing. These are these heady, really thick screenplays that demand so much of your IQ to watch that I think this film is going to be hamstrung by the fact that we already know the outcome of the film. That doesn't bode well for people that are like, well, I already can know the story. I can just look it up on Wikipedia. Obviously, he's going to tell it in his own unique style and flair. But how will it perform is the question with the people that are not fully committed to Nolan. That's the number one thing that we have to look for this film. Great question, Nick. Thank you for the super chat. I love it. When you get a question like that, it's great. And hopefully I answered the question. If you have another follow-up, ask me. But I think we did a pretty good job with that one. I saw Endgame 10 times in theaters. It was over 3 hours, made $2.7 billion. Okay, Magnus, I think I've seen you here before, but let's talk about that. There are exceptions. No one is saying that every 3-hour film is not worthy of the runtime or will be not received well. Endgame would have been doing the numbers it did at 7 hours long. Okay. The audience didn't care. It was the end of the decade-long arc in the MCU. Whatever you gave them was going to go over, especially opening weekend. And as we now know, is it the highest grossing now, or did Avatar come back and get it? Whatever, it's right there. When you look at this film, you're looking at a film that didn't matter what the runtime was. So Endgame's not a good example of that. Okay, but I'm talking about here's why it's important, Magnus. This is why this is a very good question. We just talked about Oppenheimer. Here is why a 3-hour runtime is important and why it matters. Because here it is. We just said it, but we'll do it again. Everyone who is on the fence, and with a film like Oppenheimer, where you have a very large percentage of the average movie-going populace on the fence, you need to give them every incentive possible to go see the film. And when you don't provide the incentive of a short runtime, and trust me, the average person does not want to sit through a 3-hour movie. I know you don't have a problem with it, Magnus. I don't have a problem with it. But if you're talking about, again, Joe Sixpack, we'll change the city. We'll make it Lexington, Kentucky. He's going to be like, 3 hours? I don't want to watch a 3-hour historical epic. I don't want to see this movie. That's how Joe Sixpack in Lexington, Kentucky will see this film. So that's why it matters. That is 100% why it matters. A couple more comments we'll go back to. We have a few more topics to get to here tonight. See if there's any more. Yep, we got another super chat. Sham, welcome to the show. Would you push that 60-day window if the box office drops below 6%? No, I would not. No, Sham, I would not. I would not change the window on the film no matter what happened box office wise, because what you're doing then is you're giving more allowances to the studios where they almost maybe want to see it drop. I say no. 60-day window, period. There are no asterisks involved whatsoever. Zero. It's 60 days, period. End of discussion. Braxter, welcome to the channel. Indies are lucky if their films are properly marketed anymore. They don't have the money. I agree. It's very tough. It's very tough to get anyone paying attention to your product. I mean, look, you're here on Midnight Movie Talk. You have a million other options, and frankly, they probably are all better. But you chose to be here. It's hard to get any attention in any media format these days. So for an indie film that is struggling for awareness, yes, that's very difficult, even with some kind of ad campaign on it. I mean, that's why you see an A24 film do better than an IFC or Neon. That brand alone, A24 sells tickets. Doesn't matter what it is. In fact, I go back to a film that I recommend often. We're going to do, by the way, the MMT Must See shortly, a film that I recommend. I've been picking a lot of stuff from the 2010 to 2020s, the 2010 decade, because I think there's a lot of films in there that don't get discussed enough. And that's when I really sunk my teeth into film criticism, was in that decade. But when you go back and you look at A24 films, there's a film I loved called Funny Face from 2020 or 2021. And it was on Gravitas Ventures, very small distributor, tiny little thing. If that had been an A24 film, Funny Face would be seen by a massively bigger audience, and you would also love the film. So as one of your must-sees tonight, I bring back Funny Face, Tim Sutton's. I love the film. Tim Sutton's weird, grounded, which is the oddest combination, right? Strange and grounded. And I think one of the best films I've seen recently that captures setting. It captures Brooklyn, New York in a way that I feel like I lived there for the hour and 40 minutes of the film. Funny Face is amazing. You need to watch the film. If it was an A24 film, you'd all be talking about it. That is what drives me crazy. It doesn't matter who the label is. You should want to see the film because it's good. That's what we're trying to do. That's our mission here. Okay, let's go, and we'll get to some more super chats and some more comments. But I do want to mention before we get into the next comment, next topic, tonight's kit, Bayern Munich, who won again, Bundesliga. That is, it's the perfect Spider-Man one. It's got dark blue. You can see there, dark blue, the ribbed, and then we've got the red for Spider-Man. That's why we've been doing so much red lately, because we're still talking Spider-Verse, and we're celebrating the fact this film did exactly what we said it would do, 120.5 million. So we knew it would do well, and it did. Let's have some fun here for a minute. Or, well, if you're a certain person, you won't have fun. Those of you who aren't familiar, we're about ready to do the Shill of the Week. Sorry, guys. The Shill of the Week. Thank you. That is where we spotlight an individual, or in this case, outlet, that goes above and beyond in their efforts to spread the world with their shilldom. And tonight we have, this is going to be fun. You guys are all going to go nuts on this one. Here it is. You guys ready? It's Discussing Film, the website. Why are we picking Discussing Film as our shill of the week? The largest shill of the week that we've ever had. If you follow them on Twitter, if you read the website, you know why we're picking it. Discussing Film is a website and a Twitter account that loves to generate likes and obviously clicks. How do you do that? You produce a nonstop stream of positivity and or some polarizing things, but very, very seldom do we see them wade into the "this film is trash" territory. And if you're not going to wade into the "this is garbage" portion of your review, then you are a shill. And why do they not do it? It's very simple. They are a website that needs access to actors and actresses and directors to talk about the film. In fact, I pull it up right now. Let's go to it right now. I rarely, if ever, go to this thing because I don't want to read shill shit. Okay, I have no interest in reading shill shit. Here it is. You ready? So here's discussing film. Let's pull it up. And here let's have some fun. Let's look and see if there's anything that's even semi-negative. Okay, first of all, what did we tell you? First of all, what did I just tell you they need? They need access to directors and or stars of films. And here we go, right there. What's the first thing? Boogeyman director Rob Savage on creating the perfect scare. Do you think that Disney, yes, it's Fox / 20th Century, but it is Disney. Do you think Disney would allow Rob Savage to go on to an interview with an outlet after they destroyed a film? Now, we liked the film. We liked Boogeyman. But do you think that Ari Aster is going to do an interview with me after I said that it's literally a career killer? It probably no, they're not. In fact, ask Scott Menzel. Scott Menzel is a very good friend. And I will say this. Menzel knows he one time trashed a film and the studio called him up and said, by the way, that interview you're going to do, it's not going to happen. Why? Why? Because you trashed the film. So discussing film, the other issue I have with discussing film is that they take other people's material, i.e. Deadline, THR, Variety, and they repackage it. And they say, for likes and for traffic, they say, here's the latest news. They don't break it. They steal other people's stuff and say, courtesy this. That's bullshit. Come up with your own stuff, okay? Or at least, well, you're attributing it, but it's like, come up with a team that's capable of coming up with your own stuff, like almost all of it. Everything's attributed. Deadline, THR, Variety. Discussing film, you, my friends, are the shills of the week. Thank you. Yes, the voice cracked on purpose. All right, let's get back to the comments. Let's see what you guys have to say about that. Do you agree with the shill of the week? What else do you want to talk about? I have one more. Hey, wait a second. We have somebody. This is good. This is what I need on the show. I love it. Low IQ Media. He's in Richmond, Kentucky, or she. That's awesome. Joe Sixpack loves enormous explosions. That's exactly right, Patrick. 100%. Oh my God. Let's see. Let me see if we got some discussing films here. I'm shilling Nike. No, I'm not. They're always on my, what's FYP? Something, what's that? Something page. What the hell is FYP? Front? I have no idea what that is. Oh my God, the Gen X of me is out. Yes, thank you, discussing film. Yeah, it should drive you nuts. They all they do is copy other people's stuff, but they don't link it directly. Exactly. They say courtesy Deadline. There's no link. They're very, that's very, you're treading the line of being, first of all, you're definitely not being a truthful outlet if you're going to steal other people's stuff, right? You're absolutely have no shame doing that. Like if I do something, I'm going to say, look, here's the article. We talk about it, right? It's not, I don't steal things. And by the way, all my box office stuff comes directly from the studios, the emails. So whatever. But yeah, it's just, suggested for your pay. Thank you guys. Thank you, Kid Evans. Yeah, it's just, they're just very unimpressive. It's just, I have a problem with anybody who takes other people's material and then uses it as their own. Like if I was a stand-up comic and someone stole my shit, or, have you heard like the stand-up comics who steal material and that you watch the other thing and it's like the same thing? I would never, ever want to be accused of plagiarism. In fact, whenever the first reactions come out, you know what I usually do? I typically don't look because I don't want to be influenced in any way, so that when I say, going back, okay, look, discussing film, actually, I should be really pissed at discussing film. They're the ones who stole my, remember what they stole? They stole my thing about Fast X is the Infinity War of Fast Furious franchise. They stole that. They stole it. What are we talking about? Basically spam mail of journalism, Sonfic. Yeah, I figured you guys wouldn't defend them. Plagiarism, 100%. Okay, let's go to, let's do this. I want to do physique critique coming up, Miguel O'Hara again, because this is just fun. We're at the point in the show we can just have a little fun. I'm going to do that in a minute, but I do want to get to this. It is the MMT must see. This is a film I guarantee that a lot of you haven't seen. I know you guys are big movie fans, but I'll bet you have not seen this film. It is Out of the Furnace. It came out in 2014. Was it 13? It's 13. Let me pull it up on IMDb so I don't want to get a copyright strike for showing the trailer. They should be happy I'm showing the trailer. I don't want to see Indiana Jones get out of here. Okay, so here's Out of the Furnace. Directed by Scott Cooper. Scott Cooper, go back and look at Wild Heart. Go back and look at Antlers, his last film, not that great. Hostiles. But this is a film that, look at the stars you have in this. You've got Christian Bale, Casey Affleck, Zoe Saldana. You've got Forrest Whitaker. You've got, who else is it? Woody Harrelson plays the bad guy. Sam Shepard's in this. William Dafoe. I mean, it's insane, this film. Here's what I love about the film. Is it a perfect film? 0%. No, by no means. In fact, most of these films we're going to mention are not perfect, but they excel at one specific thing that we want you to watch for that. And the one thing that I love about Out of the Furnace, aside from the performances, because I don't think the screenplay is the best, it's got Casey Affleck like doing some bare knuckles brawl out in the middle of the woods with Woody Harrelson, and Woody Harrelson's the bad guy. It's cartoonish in the way it presents that. But here's what Out of the Furnace does well. It does setting so well. Scott Cooper captures the steel town shot right outside of Pittsburgh, the small town right there, this rundown blue-collar city, and this is why I love the film, because I love setting. If you can place me in a particular location and make me feel like I was there, we just mentioned Funny Face. It's our other must-see of the night. Then you have won me over, at least a big portion of me. Every film that succeeds in setting, that puts you into that location and makes you feel as if you are there in the movie. I would even argue that Spider-Verse 2 does a good job of that, because Spider-Verse 2, for an animated film, you feel like you're in the film, right? You are living inside of Miles Morales' world and the Spider-Verse. Out of the Furnace really gets blue collar right. We need more blue collar films. Remember when Chris Pratt had that comment from a few years ago. A lot of you probably forgot. Watch, hold on, let me find it. Chris Pratt had a comment that said, we need more blue collar films. And everyone was like, what are you talking about? We have Raging Bull. And it's like, wait, that was like 40 years ago. But okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay, this is from 2017. This is IndieWire. Here it is. Let's pull it up. This is what Chris Pratt said. Remember, he got attacked. Oh, blue collar Americans aren't represented in Hollywood. So he said this. He put his foot in his mouth. Why? Why? He's allowed. He says he doesn't see personal stories that resonate with me. Everybody's got a different life story. And the fact, I agree with Chris Pratt. We need more blue collar films. And that doesn't mean it has to be a white blue collar film. It could be any. That's the other thing. As soon as you say that, like, well, no, I love a working class struggle. Give me, I know it's rocky, but give me that any day of the week. I want to feel like I want to live the life of an average person. Hollywood does not do that enough. The films that do are always going to be well received by me. Even if they're not great, I'm going to love the fact that they brought me into this world that is not romantic at all. In fact, if anything, it is repulsive. You look at it and go, I don't want to live like that. But that is how a lot of people do live. They live from paycheck to paycheck. In this economy, they're hurting. And we want to see more of that on the big screen. So yes, we need more blue collar films. And Chris Pratt had to backtrack, right? Oh, by the way, look here. This is the kind of crap. By the way, IndieWire, you got to be kidding me. Now I'm angry at IndieWire. To his credit, Pratt addressed the mini controversy on Twitter before the night was over. This is a pretty stupid thing to say. I own that. There's a ton of movies about blue collar America. First of all, and then it says he's a straight white man. We didn't say anything. We said blue collar. Blue collar could be lower class. Doesn't matter. You know, that's such crap. What a crappy publication to even say that. To his credit. Like, here's the thing that we need to stop doing in society. I can't believe I'm doing this. This channel is, I should really just stop talking about movies and just go off about the disingenuous nature and the tribal nature of people and the sickening nature of people trying to take other people down because of their opinions. I'm so fucking tired of this shit. If you say something like we need more blue collar films, then you say it and you mean it. You do not backtrack from it. I am not going to come on tomorrow. Next stream will probably be Tuesday night when we do Asteroid City reaction. That'll be later, probably closer to 9 that night. I'll tell you in a little bit what's going to happen with that. But I'm not going to backtrack. I'm not going to backtrack on anything I said on Little Mermaid. I'm not going to backtrack on anything I say, period. Because what I say is what I mean. I'm not coming on here and being fake like Soups or stupid like Grace Randolph. I am coming on here and saying what I believe to be my truth. And if I believe, like Chris Pratt did say, and I believe he believes, that we need blue collar films, we need more of those, then hell yeah, we do. We need more working class struggle films. It does not mean white-centric films. It means watching people that do not have glamorous lives. I want to see more of that out of Hollywood. Why are we not getting those films? Because you will reach an audience that you probably didn't know existed if you show people that, because not everybody lives in Beverly Hills down the street from me. Some of us live in Burbank, for God's sake. Burbank is the blue collar of LA. Paul Schrader does. I agree. Paul Schrader does a great. He just does. Here's Johnny Welcome, by the way. He's very good at that. Discussing film. Oh my God, that's great. You guys are too good. You're too good sometimes. Yes, they probably did. I'm sure they're going to send hordes of people after me on Twitter. I'm very close to blowing up my Twitter thing. Just get rid of it. It's wasteful. I spent so much time on it today arguing with these people. And you're arguing with, again, these disingenuous, agenda-driven people, and it makes you like crazy. You start to question your own sanity. You're like, what is wrong with these people? There's just, unfortunately, a large, let's hopefully it's not large, but I fear it is. There's a significant portion of the population who's tired of Disney's politics, but is also completely agenda-driven and is tribal and wouldn't know objectivity if it smashed them in the face with a mallet. They wouldn't know it. And those are the people that I think drive me the craziest, because I don't want to be around those people. I want to be around people that challenge me. I'll be around people that do not necessarily say what's the right thing to say. So if Chris Pratt says we need blue collar films, then go for it, man. Say it. You know, I got to watch that. I don't think I actually saw it. I need to watch the film. But on, tangentially, Paul Schrader does, with the exception of The Card Counter, not a great film. And I think some of his films, go back and look at, what was the priest one with Ethan Hawke? I'm forgetting the name right now. Too weird. The end of the film really loses you, where he goes into space and he's that shit is too much. It's too much. But I do like how he shoots a film. I didn't see the latest one. I need to see the Constant Gardener, the Master Gardener, whatever it was. Discussing Film was posting Amazon links to Funko Pops. Oh my God, seriously? They're shills. You don't see me doing that. You don't see me saying, watch Tar. Focus features. Watch Tar. No, I've never done that. I would never. No, because you guys know if I do say watch Tar, which we might have said. By the way, I forgot to show you this. I still have this. I'm so excited. I didn't throw this out. This is my invite to Tar at the premiere in LA. I still have it. I wish I didn't crunkle it up and put it in my pocket that night, but there it is, right? What was the date on that? October 6th at the Academy Museum, and then conversation to follow. And I still have this. This is one of my most treasured mementos of all of my FYC and random items, even more treasured than my Gray Man cup. Just slightly more, slightly. Let's go a few more minutes. We're only over an hour. It's 9:00. For those of you who just joined, you're like, First Reform. Thank you so much. First Reform. Exactly. The film just, in the end, you just go too batshitty for me. I wish it didn't do that. I liked everything up until that third act. By the way, Eric, you were right to skip Sanctuary. I don't want to see it. It was basically a filmed feminist stage play with a doll, Christopher Abbott. Thank you for saying his name. Christopher Abbott puts me to sleep. He's boring. Incredibly overrated. I don't think he's a bad actor. He's boring. He's not interesting. Remember, a surprisingly non-sexy Margaret Qualley. I knew who that was. Margaret Qualley from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She's obviously all grown up. But Christopher Abbott doesn't do anything for me. He's very the same. I watched him in The Forgiven, one of the worst films of the year last year, but yet super entertaining because it was so bad, right? So bad it's good. He doesn't do anything for me. He's not interesting. As an actor, he must be interesting. I think that's one of the problems that John David Washington. Oh my God. Did I just say that right? Well, I literally have said so much tonight. I'm like, wait, is that right? Not interesting. He's not interesting enough. And here's how you make things more interesting. You're weird. Not so weird like a Wes Anderson movie. Oh, I can't wait to see Asteroid City. I don't know if that's going to work for me. I'm going to love how it looks. The aesthetics are going to be like fire, and the screenplay is going to be like, nah, like it always is. Except for, you guys know I like French Dispatch. But you got to be interesting. You got to be a little bit weird. John David, does he know about me? Well, listen, I don't dislike John David Washington. Okay. What I like, Omega Swiper, who are you? Omega Swiper, let's just say this. If Omega Swiper is real as he's saying, he's someone who's important. Or she, because he said, like, I've tried to get Jonathan Majors on your show. Now he's saying that John David Washington knows about me. So Omega Swiper is either faking out, totally phony, or is real and is someone like Major. Joel Edgerton, charisma free is a really interesting way to put it. Joel Edgerton is a very good actor, though. Go watch The Gift. Oh my God, The Gift is great. That will make. I'm not going to talk anymore about it until we make it our next must see. The Gift. He's so great, and he also directed it. So I'm not going to take any Joel Edgerton slander in here. It's not going to happen. Let's go 10 minutes. We'll go 1:15 tonight. 10-minute warning here tonight. I didn't see. I watched some of Ballers, and I'm not saying he's bad every time, Braxter. I'm just telling you that he's not great in Tenet. I would say this: you need to, if you replace John David Washington with an actor who's more interesting, Tenet is way stronger. Way stronger. He's very good in Black Klansman, but yeah, exactly. Well, listen, the woke scolds. Nice job, Johnny. I don't even care about if someone's woke or not. I'm just tired of people like saying I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for what I say. If I want more blue collar films, I want more blue collar films. Period. It's not up for debate. I'm not going to go back and forth with someone about Beau is Afraid or Scream 6 or Cocaine Bear or Magic Mike's Last Dance. I'm going to tell you they're terrible. Now, granted, I know those aren't politically wrong, but if I start talking about COVID and all the shit that we bent over the past 2+ years, and I go off on that, I'm not going to the next day go, I was wrong. It saved lives. No, my opinion is that we went so far over the line in trying to protect every single soul in this world, which is a noble concept. But when you try to do that, people are harmed. More people were harmed by the absolute lockdowns and everything that happened. I mean, here's the question I'm gonna pose to you. And I'm not going to talk about COVID I don't want to do this shit. I don't even want to talk about it. But I'm going to ask you a simple question. Do you really think that millions of lives were saved by the lockdowns? Do you think that the cost of the lockdowns was equal to the lives saved? Because there were costs of the lockdowns. Businesses failed. The economy was trashed by injecting all that cash into the system. And now we're seeing inflation that we've never seen. Don't make me do politics. I don't want to do it. But I'm telling you, if I need to, I will. But I'm not going to backtrack off of that. I believe that. That's my stance. Do not come after me because of that. If you want to, go ahead. I'm not going to apologize to you. It's never going to happen. Let me help you out here from Mission Impossible 7. It's never going to happen. And that's what drives these people crazy. They come after me and I don't back down, because why would I back down to you, nameless, faceless, AVI hiding person? Not you guys. You guys are awesome if you're hiding about it. But on Twitter, no, I'm not good. Blue Valentine's a great film. What was one of our must-sees, Thomas? Thank you. Welcome to the channel. Place Beyond the Pines, directed by Derek Cianfrance. Grounded. First third of that film is perfection. And why? Because it is so rooted in authenticity and grounded as fuck. That film, the first third, being in, where is that? Schenectady, New York, wherever, upstate New York, and he's at the carnival. That's the world. I want to see a whole movie like Place Beyond the Pines, only Ryan Gosling doesn't die in the first 35 minutes. Sorry if I gave the movie away. If you haven't seen it by now, it's your fault. The movie's been out for a decade. Place Beyond the Pines. That first third, I'm going to write a grounded-ass film. In fact, one of you can probably do it better. You need to live the life. If you want to write a good screenplay, you have to live it. You cannot artificially create a good screenplay because it's going to feel fake because you didn't actually live it. I told you guys the reason this channel is hopefully decent is because I am authentic. That is the number one thing you get from me. You will never get someone who comes on here and is fake like a Soups or ignorant like a Grace Randolph. And by the way, I'd argue she's fake as well, not a real person. When you need to get and find people that are fearless in stating their opinions and never back down, and that is who I am, and I'll never change. It'll never ever change. Because there's no way to go through life the other way. I don't understand why people do. This town is full of fake ass people, and I will never be that person. I will talk about Transformers 7. We have a few minutes. Transformers is in big trouble. And let me tell you why this film is really in a precarious position. We talk about wave theory in the box office all the time. What is wave theory? Wave theory is when you have a giant film come in and crash hard, and I mean crash hard in a good way, in the way Spider-Verse 2 did. It sucks oxygen out of the marketplace. As the wave retreats, you have less water, you have less oxygen in this case in the marketplace. And as such, Transformers on the backside of both Little Mermaid and now Spider-Verse 2, and an audience that is frankly very disinterested in this film. Paramount is trying so hard to generate interest and people talking about it. It's not happening because nobody asked for another Transformers movie. They made this film for overseas markets, and as such, it better perform there. It needs to be gangbusters over there, or the decision to even make this is going to be heavily scrutinized. In fact, I would argue it should be already. This film is not in a good spot. It's about ready to have a wave crash on it, and that's going to be a really bad number. Just be ready. We'll talk about that more on Thursday when it comes out. We'll probably do, in fact, you know what? Let's do the reaction stream to that on Thursday. We're going to do a tight reaction stream with, by the way, spoiler free, to Asteroid City on Tuesday night. It'll be like 10-15 minutes to Wes Anderson. Here's what I'm going to say. I haven't seen the film, but I know what I'm already going to say. I'm going to be objective. I'm going to go in there, wipe everything clean, slate's clean, let's go. But I'm going to say the aesthetics, cinematography, the technical mastery of Wes Anderson, oh my God, the screenplay. That's what's going to happen, because that's what it almost always is. The only reason that I deviated from that last time around was because The French Dispatch was 3 movies, 3 different stories. This is one story, Asteroid City. We'll talk about it Tuesday. I won't back down, and I don't hate Scream 6, so it's the dumbest thing about the movie. They think they're in a movie. It's, yeah, that scene where they start talking about all the rules. Oh my God. They already did it in the last one, and then they did it again. It is grounded, so you can believe this is a film. Yes, we will make, Tarantino is making The Movie Critic about me. Just breaking news here tonight. Discussing film, there's your headline. The Movie Critic is about me, Eric Weber. So get ready for Tarantino to take that rich subject and to work his mastery on it. I can't wait for the tension build. The scene that slowly percolates and then just erupts. What would that scene be? It'd be me in a movie theater and then erupting at the audience afterwards, which would be Beau's Afraid. So if I didn't just give Tarantino gold for The Movie Critic, he definitely, I guarantee you that Tarantino both has a Twitter account, and he probably is somewhere, I guarantee he's come on the stream. He's been here, because these people, every time I go to an event, there's always one of the reps or someone who's behind the scenes or director. They go, oh, I know who you are. I'm familiar with you. I told you the Matt Reeves story. Matt Reeves, you're Eric Weber. I go, yes. And I go, is that a good or a bad thing? It's infamy, okay? But I think what they all appreciate is the fact that they know they're dealing with a no bullshitter. And in this town, there's like 5 of us. 5 no bullshitters in all of LA, and I'm one of them. Aaron, good. Hey, good to see you, bud. Fearless stating Ant-Man 3 is better CGI than Avatar 2. Listen. Avatar 2 CG is a computer game. I'm not going to argue it, but I will say Little Mermaid CGI. Listen, Sebastian is more organic and looks more authentic than anything in Avatar 2. Sebastian the crab from The Little Mermaid. Tarantino, it would be the weirdest film because I don't look like the average film critic, right? You guys know. I mean, let's just be, when I go to the screenings, I look in the crowd, and if you were to say, what's the average film critic look like? Come on, guys. You would pick probably, just if I asked you that quickly, who would you say? You'd probably say the comic book guy from The Simpsons, and you wouldn't be far off. Okay, you wouldn't be far off. So if he's going to use me, he's going to have to use someone who's dashing and debonair. I mean, may I suggest Armie Hammer? Oh my God. Aaron, I will ban the shit out of you, Aaron. I will ban the shit, but it's good. It's good. Is it called The Critic or Movie Critic? Someone is 30, so it definitely is not me, Braxter. Damn it. Midnight Movie Talk. We get pumping iron in the movie, asking for a friend. Yes, it better be. Me at the gym. You guys are creepy as hell. Oh, he would be. Yeah, he totally would be. Did you see that story? Tarantino was like licking some woman's feet for like an hour. Like, what the Didn't Tarantino say his critic covers 70s porn? Then it's not me. It's not me. Now, by the way, funny story. Before the stream, I'm feeling good tonight, so let's just roll just a little long. I'm at the gym the other day. I work out at a gym with some people that are, famous, infamous, whatever. And I'm there, and I'm like, I'm about ready to do some tricep pushdowns. And I look over, and I'm like, holy crap, that's the guy in the threesome scene I just watched the other night. It's like a major male porn actor. And I'm like, what the hell? Very awkward. Very awkward when you're at the gym and you look over, and it's like, there's the guy that I just watched in a scene on X Hamster. It's just uncomfortable. So I advise you don't run into porn stars at the gym. An alternate history where Eric prevents age. I would, listen, Johnny, funny thing about that is if I were to go and just go to A24 and plead with them, please do not make Bo Is Afraid. They would laugh and say, you don't know what you're talking about. But who had the last laugh? Who just laughed at you guys losing $25 million for giving Ari Aster a film that nobody was going to make? No studio was giving him $35 million for that movie. Give me a break. Eric would be race and gender swap for sure. I mean, probably. Oh my God, the words that just left your mouth. Whatever, Aaron. What? No. It's good. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. Alan's wrong. Little Mermaid's not a bad film. It's not. There's no arguing. No argument. It's not a bad film. Mark Strong with hair. Yes, it is weird. No, it wasn't Johnny Sins. I saw Peter North at a gym in Orange County, so that's my second porn star I've seen. It was not. I don't know the guy's name. I just know he's a porn star. Ari Aster will have his vengeance on MMT. Bring him on. I would love to have a debate with him. The first question would be very simple. Why did you make this film? That's it. And I'd stop talking. That's it. Hey, Ari, can you just answer, why did you make this film? And he's like, and he'd give us some bullshit answer, but it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I didn't ask the porn star about thoughts on Tar. All right, this stream is officially run into the ground. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. Let's talk about the schedule here tonight for the rest of the week. Tuesday night, we're going to do an Asteroid City tight reaction stream, spoiler free. That'll be on Tuesday night. I'd say about 9, so the old time. We're going to do the 8 o'clock shows on Thursdays and Sundays. So we're going to go a little earlier on those shows. That way the people that are on the East Coast, it's too late for me. No more excuses. And then on Thursday, we will do Transformers along with opening night Transformers, a film that is in big trouble. This film is in a horrible spot, and we're going to talk about it more on Thursday. I'll see you guys Tuesday night for Asteroid City. As always, spoiler-free overall thoughts on Wes Anderson's latest here on MMT coming up on Thursday night. Slight burp there. Until Tuesday, I will see you guys next time back here, MMT, live from LA. Eric Weber saying good night. Peace.